How's it going, garden people? Welcome to the Hidden Gardens. Today we're going to do a plant unboxing, all the plants that I ordered over the winter by proven winners. If you're looking for the plant specs of some of these plants, you can head on over to the Proven Winners website. You should find all that info there. I'm going to show you the pretty plant tags, what these plants look like coming out of the box, chit-chat a little bit about me and what Anthropology is. So when I buy plants, I go to all the places, big box stores, online, and particularly your local garden centers, especially if you're looking for a more established plant. All the plants that you're going to see here are all little baby plants, so quart-sized plants. Alright, so a little bit about me. I am a full-time parent to a bunch of kids, and when I can find the time to sneak away, I'm gardening here on Cape Cod, Mass, in what the USDA Hardiness zone considers to be now 7B. I also own Cape Cod Hidden Gardens, which is a little shop inside my kid's dad's shop down here on the Cape, which sells garden decor, as well as I'm hoping to sell some cut flowers this summer that I grew here in the garden as well. In terms of formal gardening training, I don't hold any degrees in horticulture or grew up anywhere in the gardening business. My degrees, I hold a bachelor's degree in anthropology with a minor in classical studies and another bachelor's degree in history. I learned to garden through doing research as well as YouTube gardeners, and most importantly through experience. That's the biggest teacher for any gardener. If you're new to gardening or beginning gardening, experience is always going to be the best way for you to learn. So as much as you can experiment and experience, I absolutely suggest that you get out there and give it a try. Most of these plants I have a place for, or they're replacement plants. Other than that, they're just really pretty plants and I wanted them, so I bought them. But this video is not sponsored by Proven Winners, though if they want to send me plants, I can always find a place for them. But aside of that, Proven Winners, I've found, do really their due diligence in their plants, so I have full confidence in spending a little bit of money to get a bunch of varieties of plants to try out and to enjoy here in my garden. I've been posting on YouTube for a little while now, and the big thing that I've found is that it's super helpful in terms of knowing where you planted things and what you planted, because videos are definitely a better reference than plant tags that can get lost. Now, while I could make the videos just private for myself, I've decided to share my gardening journey with the world as it is. One, because eventually maybe one day I could make a little something from it, which would be helpful, of course, to buy more plants, but more so that I can explore the cultural aspects of gardening. So basically in anthropology, there's a couple of different aspects. What anthropology is basically the study of humans. What makes us us, what makes us who we are and where we are in time and space, culturally, physically, all the things that make us human. Now, gardening, one can argue, plays a big role in people in our lives and what makes us us, either directly or indirectly. If you're directly a gardener, that's definitely a direct connection, but indirectly, gardening has effects on us throughout history and in current times, between the food that we eat and the views that we see and the animals in nature. Pollinators, for example, have a big impact on us, and gardening and plants and stuff like that, that's all an interconnected situation. Now, when I was formulating what I wanted to talk about, what I wanted to say in this video, I stumbled across a lecture from about 7 years ago by a man by the name of Bryce Lane from the JC Arboretum, and I will link this lecture below. But about 16 minutes into it is really where my classical studies meets my love of gardening. That was definitely an informative and enjoyable video. Around 41 minutes, you are able to discover how bougainvillea got its name, and if you watch Janie over at Dig Plant Water Repeat, she mentions bougainvillea quite a bit. And the JC Arboretum, if you watch Jim over at HortTube, he is a frequent user of that name over on his channel, and I can see why, and I definitely intend to visit should I get down to North Carolina at any point. Now, I'm not going to get into what anthropology has to do with gardening and vice versa, apart from, it is definitely a part of what makes us us, but those are things that I'm exploring in my book. On YouTube, I'm acting as a active participant or participant observer of both a gardening journey, being on my gardening journey, as well as being a YouTube gardener. If you're new or a longtime gardener, my channel, I'm looking to inspire you and motivate you to get out and get into your garden, whether it's outside or inside, or to visit a garden, whether you have local gardens or just come and hang out in my garden with me for a little while. If you're looking to learn to garden, there are definitely some great YouTube gardeners out there. One of the main ones that I adore, as well as many, is of course Laura from Garden Answer. But for me, on my channel, I've found that I enjoy gardening and I just want to spread that passion and spread that joy to others, as well as explore all the aspects that I can with my training and my degrees, and give the time that I can out in my garden when I'm not raising little tiny humans. So back to the plants. These hellebore plants that I got are definitely going into the front garden area, along the side where I have all the other collection of hellebores, and they're wonderful plants. I absolutely adore these plants. There's such a beautiful pop of color early in the spring, and it pretty much just kicks off the whole gardening season for me in terms of blooms are concerned. I also did buy some replacement plants for the Castle Spire Blue Holly. If you've been watching the channel, you know that I've had some serious rabbit damage. I'll have to protect the plants going forward. These plants I think I'll pot up for a while, because I did see that quite a bit of the plants that were attacked by the bunnies are actually coming back, which doesn't surprise me because that did happen before. So we're going to cross our fingers that those ones come back, and definitely do our due diligence of protecting them this winter when the rabbits are looking around and are super hungry. Though at least my bases are covered, and that's where you get your more established plants from, like the nurseries. Had I gotten a more established plant that was bigger, then the rabbits wouldn't be able to get the higher parts, and the whole little nubs that they've left me, I wouldn't have to worry too much about. But where we're at, so that's what we're gonna go forward with. And of course it wouldn't be Cape Cod if I wasn't buying hydrangeas, whether I have a place for them or not. And these sand cherries are absolutely beautiful, absolutely stunning. I am doing a voiceover and I'm being distracted by the kids, so if my train of thought seems a little out there, that's why. But all of these plants I either know are awesome plants, and I'm trying new ones, and that's always the fun of gardening, is trying new plants and checking things out and seeing how they do in your garden. Not all gardens are the same, and what plant does well for me in my area might not do well for you in your area, and vice versa. And you're not going to know until you try them and find out. So I'm excited to get a lot of these plants out into the garden areas, my garden spaces, and to try them out. It's just going to be a really, really exciting gardening season. For upcoming videos, I plan on doing a May garden tour. I do most of my videos in a voiceover form, mainly because it's easier for me to drown out the neighborhood noise, as well as, the kids' noise, all the noises. But it does make it a little harder when it comes to doing garden tours, because I'm not concentrating on one particular plant as I'm talking about it. So I'm going to try to make an effort to really do a slow garden tour for you guys so that you can really see the plants, and I'll talk in depth as to what I can about the plants. I do plan on doing a separate video as well on all my Japanese maples, for those of you that have asked for that one. And I did happen to get a new one at the garden center as well, so that's an exciting thing. So for the returning subscribers, thank you for coming along with me. I hope that I'm motivating you. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. It does help out the channel. It helps me out. And hopefully I can bring you lots more fun and semi-entertaining videos. But more so, I enjoy sharing my gardening experience in the hopes that it gets you out into your garden or somebody else's garden, just out into a garden, because the benefits of it are just absolutely amazing. Alright, so here's the majority of the plants that I ordered. Like I said, not sponsored, but they're just good plants, and I wanted them, so I got them. And here they are. Stay tuned so that you can see where I'm going to put a lot of these and how they do in my Zone 7 garden. I will link the video to the JC Arboretum lecture below. I would definitely recommend checking that out. Not only is it extremely informative, but I giggled my way on through it. As well as the timeline of American gardens from the Smithsonian Institute, all of which are really interesting and fun things about gardening to learn about. And of course, I hope that this video has inspired you to get out into your garden and continue along on your gardening journey, whatever that looks like for you. And thank you for coming along on mine.